1.
Hello and welcome to Trinity Force Podcast, episode 213. My name is Colossus. I am hosting in lieu of Adam Ponophobia Cogswell.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot to talk about today, and we are joined by Chiro, DeClaude, Days Untold, and Punchinello.
Howdy.
Hey,
Thank you
guys.
for joining us, by the way, Carrot.
Yeah, we always
thank
love
you.
to have
Thanks
you,
for having
buddy.
me.
Always happy to have you here.
Of course, we are on this channel, twitch.tv/TForce Podcast. You should join us twice a week. So now I got to do the mental calculations because I'm in Australia, but I think it's Mondays and Wednesdays. That's right.
Yep.
From sometime Eastern. One of you guys can
8 o'clock p.m.
There you go. Yes, you should join us. Join us in the Twitch chat. We have a lot of fun and there's actually always a lot of discussion even within the Twitch chat. So it's worth joining us for that. Don't forget our new subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/tforce network. Which has got a lot of discussion. We basically have individual show discussion as well as what you should be really going in to check out, which is the Ghost Crawler Returns mega thread. So next Monday, November 24, Ghost Crawler, Roaming Numeral, and Cooper will be joining these guys to talk about anything you like. So jump on the thread, add your questions. I know I've had at least 2 questions. So it's going to be a huge show. Yep. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be just in time for all these preseason changes.
Indeed,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Hot topics.
And what else? So Battle Arena. I actually don't know when North America Battle Arena is. I know Oceanic Battle Arena is tonight. But all the Battle Arenas will be giving away T-Force t-shirts and $10 in RP. So they'll be going to the MVPs of each of the games. So make sure you come along, be a part of it, and you might score yourself some RP.
Oh, yeah.
And
recognition.
Yeah, make a play and get
recognition.
recognized. This is
Eternal
your moment
glory.
for free stuff, and we'll probably be posting all the awesome plays anyway, so come and make a scene.
All right, now,
Absolutely.
patch 420 notes were released, but we have to finish up preseason discussion, which encompasses some of 420. So where are we going to start?
We're gonna go-
Machete?
how does
We're
Machete
going to
work,
go
Lee?
into the items? Let's do that.
Yeah,
Yep,
let's do
let's
that.
go to the items. So let's talk about
Items
items.
for
We've got some changes. So gone are the spirit items. Gone is Wriggle's Lantern and Feral Flare. And now we have a bunch of new items. We have Poacher's Knife, Ranger's... Well, these are items that build out of Hunter's Machete. Poacher's Knife, Ranger's Trailblazer, Skirmisher's Saber, and Stalker's Blade. Basically, the new approach that Riot has is essentially, rather than sort of going tanky or AP or fighter, they're now going with specific roles. So you've got an item for counter jungling, you've got an item for farming, you've got an item for ganking, and there's an item... What's the other one? The other one is... counter jungling. I forget what the other one is. But basically, they've got different roles. Let's talk about them.
There's one for
So-
counter jungling, ganking, and there's like 2 for farming, but
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go over the Hunter's Machete itself.
right, big changes for this. So this item originally cost 325 gold, and that is now changed, so it costs 400 gold. So for anybody, again, we brought this up in the last show, you can only pick up a few potions now if you buy a Hunter's Machete. So that's going to set back a couple people's clear time, maybe force you to back earlier out of the jungle, a bunch of other stuff, maybe make a different route like we've mentioned. And they've taken away basically all the stats that it had before and the new stuff that it has now. The passive now deals 30 magic damage on hit to monsters over 2 seconds, and you gain 7 health and 3 mana per second for every second while you're in combat with a jungle monster.
Which
Which
help
is nice.
offset the less pots you have.
Right, because now you're going to be you'll
'Cause it
basically
costs
have
100
a
gold more.
small pot rolling while you're doing damage to stuff.
Yep.
So
Yeah, you still though
1%
after
flash
you
burning.
if you use the current clear, you still are pretty low health. It leaves a lot of opportunity for dueling in the jungle and counter jungling because you're pretty weak early, so you're not quite as safe as you used to be. And you definitely can. It's going to be really hard to make those early ganks, almost impossible. So that's part of the aim of not giving you the 4 pots to begin with.
Yep.
I mean, what are the things? I mean, it's no change from previously it was, but AP junglers, who rely on their abilities like a Fiddlesticks is still really affected by the damage because I think it's on hit, so it's based on auto attacks. Where if you go back to the start of season 4,
Rather,
it was just a flat
the
damage
flat
buff. So
percent damage buff.
yeah.
So you might.
So
be
I mean
seeing-
that's a problem for. I mean, Fiddle's probably the main one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only a couple of AP junglers, and really it's Fiddle and probably Diana.
Well,
can't really
and
think
the
of
other
anybody
thing
else
with
that builds,
the other thing with Fiddle
so.
too is that Fiddle is one of those junglers that, for the most part, you can start at Doran's Ring and be completely
Right.
fine,
Yeah.
or like an Amp Tome.
Yep.
So it's not gonna kill him. But if he is trying to rush something, like say he wants to hit level 6 as quick as he can, it's definitely gonna hurt because he's not going to be spending his 400 gold early to build into the pieces of that, whereas he could do that before and still do extra damage if that's how he wanted to go, so he could, rush his Spirit of the Spectral Wraith or whatever else he
Yeah.
wanted.
I mean, he's probably not going to be too badly affected just because he's probably one of the junglers that I guess is going to come out pretty well with the changes to damage and tankiness and stuff because he can. I mean, he might end up having mana problems because he can only
Right.
drain so many times at low levels, but he just won't run out of health, which is going to be a real problem for some other junglers because the monsters are tougher, they deal more damage. So
it's got a longer
Fiddle can just
cooldown.
drain that away, where others not so much.
And it's also worth noting that now Hunter's Machete can only be purchased if you have Smite. So now if you're not taking Summoner Spell Smite, you can't buy Hunter's Machete, and you cannot buy jungling items.
Well, I'm not sure why you would want to get these new
Right,
jungling
because
items
they
if you don't
only
have
affect
smite.
Smite.
Right. So
Yeah, but people probably would have said that when they first saw Spirit of the Lizard Elder, and then all of a sudden, everybody, you got people
Blue build
taking him in
Ezreal
the lane.
come
So,
along.
yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the specific ones. So, where we talk about Poacher's Knife. So this
Poacher's
is
nice. Yeah.
when you smite. So basically, each of these items changes how your smite works. So in the case of Poacher's Knife, when you smite and kill a large monster in the enemy jungle, the cooldown of smite is halved, and you gain 20 bonus gold, and you gain 175% increased movement speed over 2 seconds.
So this is going to be
Get
a
the hell out.
Counter-jungle.
yeah, this is the jungling item that you would get if you're going to be doing that hit and run kind of, oh, you have their jungle warded, they're at Wraith, all right, run in, smite Wraith, take it, your smite's halved, you get out of there before they can even do anything about it, and you have their like new Wraith buff that it gives you, so you can go and see wards, or if they're like at red, blue, whatever, you smite it, you stole it, you get the hell out of there. Or if you're ahead of them, you could smite it, steal it, and then rush at them really, really fast and try and murder them.
So I assume this
depends on
doesn't
the
apply in any way to Dragon or Baron because it's only enemy jungle large monsters.
Yeah.
Right. It's not neutral monsters.
Yeah.
Like it would have to be on the other side.
which I think this is the first time they actually differentiate
The two.
monsters between
Yeah.
your jungle and their jungle and neutral
Right.
monsters.
Right.
Which
That is
pretty
definitely cool. The side piece
I'm
I'm
of
actually
cheating,
fan.
right?
So,
the side part of this item as well is that it buffs that original extra damage that the Hunter's Machete does, and now you deal 45 magic damage on hit over 2 seconds, and you get 10 health back and 5 mana back per second for every second that you're in combat in the jungle.
That looks like it's the same for every
It's the same for
machete
all of them.
upgrade, though.
Okay.
So, these next two are going to get that too.
Okay.
Looks good for Nunu.
my main issue.
Yeah,
with
for real.
The question I have about counter jungling is because they're actually increasing the spawn time from 50 seconds to 100 seconds for all the camps, all the small camps. So I'm wondering if counter jungling is now going to be one of the most powerful strategies in the game, just because the downtime between camps
If you
is gonna
can
be so
take
much
something,
longer.
it's really going to punish somebody for they're not going to
Yeah,
get it for a
absolutely.
significant amount of time.
And you get the buff too.
And camps with more experience and with more gold. So if you go in and take the large monster, or if you clear the whole camp, because I mean now it's worth actually clearing the whole camp because I mean I know at pro level and high level that you do that all the time because you're farming so quickly, but at low level elo really it was always worth leaving just one monster because they were so slow at clearing that there was no downside. It would basically respawn before they come back. But now it won't respawn in time, and you just somebody like a Nunu is going to be absolute freaking menace in to
Right.
begin with.
Well, I was
And
I was
so
gonna
they sort of
say,
balance things out.
if the spawn time is that long, you're gonna run in there. How many times do you run in the jungle? You take their double golems, they're already behind, and they never end up going
Yeah.
back to their double golem till like minutes later.
Yep.
If you leave the small one up, that's a ton of XP they're missing out on because now it's not going to be up for a very long time afterwards. It's
Yeah.
just really going to slow down everything for them. So
Not only that, but the buff also, because you can only get the buff one time per spawn. So if they're not paying attention, like a lot of people don't now, then that's even longer. They can't even just get the advantage of that buff.
right.
Well, this, you're going to want to ward your jungle, the enemy jungle, a lot. And this made me think about that. Remember we were talking about the raptor, where you smite the big raptor and the next ward you see, you kill? Maybe as a way to prevent them from using that to gank your lane, just keep warding their raptors so they don't waste it.
Yeah, you
Bam.
just
They
drop
see that ward.
You drop the ward right on the camp, so
lane's
as soon
safe.
as they take it, you're good. See those
Bam.
next
Yeah.
level declawed plays right there.
Yep. Use your totem so it doesn't even fucking matter. But, food for
Do we
thought.
want to move into Rangers Trailblazer then? Talk about that. It's so this is the farming,
Blasting.
one of the sort of the farming items. So the cooldown of Smite was reduced by 15 seconds. Smite also deals half damage to all monsters and enemy minions near the target and stuns them for 1.5 seconds. Casting Smite on a monster restores 15% of missing mana and health. This is the one that, I mean, I play tank junglers, and I think this is, for me, is the most interesting one, just because of that, the massive amounts of regen. Like, I mean, playing as Sejuani, like, I feel like Declawed, I love Sejuani, but she just goes so low in the jungle. Nautilus is the same; they just get really low in the jungle.
Their
this is
first
going to be a huge.
their first clears
You
are
know what?
brutal.
Yeah.
I build her utility, and I don't really get low on Sejuani in the jungle.
Maybe
because
it's
the
just the way
biscuit.
I've been building her.
But it might be. But it starts out medium speed, faster than Warwick but slower than Diana kind of thing.
Right.
But I don't know. It'll help with the new jungle the way it's going to be. Yeah, I can see Sejuani having a hard time, so I can see this definitely helping her out. And then if it stacks with the Krug buff thing there, stun,
Plus, this is also like an anti-counter jungling tool as well. If somebody comes in to try and kill you, you smite something and you get a significant amount of your health back. That can 15% can easily turn the tide in a fight.
missing health. Right, and it's
Right.
percent of yours, so
Yeah.
of yours missing,
Yeah.
whatever you're hurt. Okay, so if you're pretty hurt. And Mundo jungle too.
Compare this to
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
No.
the red and blue rewards that we talked about yesterday for smiting red and blue buff. They actually changed to those numbers. It looks like to 20% maximum health, not missing health, on red, and 25% maximum mana on blue.
So
Look
that
at
just
those
got
typos
better.
there. Yeah, that got
Yeah,
better.
that got way better.
So smiting those and getting this.
Oh, wait. That was changed?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
they
numbers
increased
got
those.
changed for it.
Wow.
Yeah, like those and the Rangers Trailblazers are going to be pretty key for those sustaining junglers.
Well, for sustain or just like let's clear the shit out of the jungle forever and then show up. Like if you run utility masteries, you're gonna get more XP anyway. You could like clear really really quick, and be level 6 by the time the enemy jungler is level 5. But
And the other thing is really, I mean, with
I like
someone
the
like a
AoE.
Sejuani, if you go and gank, what I've found, and I'm not like I'm a journeyman's jungler, as you guys said on last week or early in the week. I often found myself quite, go for a gank, maybe take a little bit of damage, and then I go back in the jungle and I'd be too low, even with the quill coat, too low to really sort of keep farming. Where this, by the time you go back in the jungle, your smite's up, 15% missing mana and health back, and you just can keep farming. So it actually will be quite handy for when you sort of
Right.
got a bit of time, you're not quite got enough to go and buy a big item, but you want to keep farming, go in there, heal up a bit, keep powering through the
I'm
jungle.
curious to see, like, if you can, with Sejuani, for example, because Lee's saying is my favorite jungler, using her Flail of the Northern Winds on the Raptor camp and then this Blasting Smite, will that be enough to kill it with just one
W.
cast? Usually it takes them down to just barely enough on the first clear, where it doesn't kill them with one Flail of the Northern Winds. So maybe now it will. That'll be interesting. I can't wait to mess around with this stuff. I'm real excited
I
about
think
this.
that this might be pretty good on in terms of counter jungling also, because It keeps you a little safer. And if you're someone who's pretty mana intensive, it still reduces your smite by 15 seconds. So it still gets your cooldown up a little bit better. But with the poacher's knife, if you only get that bonus of your having your smite if you take one of their enemy jungles. So if for some reason you get behind or something like that, or they start warding and you can't counter jungle as much, you lose a good portion of what makes that upgrade valuable. So if you're, depending on who you are, Ranger's Trailblazer, it helps you clear a lot faster because of the AoE. You take less damage because of the stun. And then when you smite, you're going to get 15% of your health and mana back. So it actually makes you safer in their jungle so that if they do collapse on you, then you're going to be in a little bit better position to either escape or fight.
I was about to say, I did say earlier, this is going to be great when people try to invade and counter jungle you. This is also going to be a great item if you want to run in and counter jungle them, because again, 15% health and mana can make a huge difference in fights. This is sort of like one of the more like kind of open build paths, I guess, out of the jungle. Like this is the one that can kind of be used by somebody who doesn't really know what they want to do for the whole game, because like certain things are way more for, hey, we should farm, and others are, hey, we need to go in and try and invade as many times as we can. So this is
so it's
one
the
of
old
the,
ancient coin of the jungle.
Kind of.
Maybe play it safe and just do this because I have no idea what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it gives you options, and that's not to say that I mean, there's always going to be a risk reward factor in this game, and if you're a really good counter jungler and you think Poacher's Knife is a better option for you, then take it and use it and utilize it. There are going to be some games where you get shut down out of their jungle and you can't go in there, and it's going to be a little bit of a waste of gold to a small extent, but it's not going to make or break that game.
Right.
So it's all about your play style and what works for you and what strategies work for you and what you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, I think that's key because the stats do stay the same across these. It's just purely what your smite does for you. So it's totally playstyle.
We didn't mention this either. This is the 400 gold machete, and all of the items that we're talking about out of the jungle for these 4 items we're going to be talking about that are upgrades all cost 350 more gold. So
that's it.
You can, yeah, I mean, it's only 750 gold to go run around. Well, yeah, 750 gold to go run around and do whatever with any of these items. That's pretty cheap, and it's almost cheap enough where you could rationalize, depending on what you could sell it back for. If you need to switch up later on, you can. That is to say, if you don't pick up one of the supplemental pieces that can really power these items up later. But you'll usually have that much gold by the time that you back for the first time anyway. So that this really, really cost-effective item for the fact that a lot of these you just roll right through the jungle with them.
One thing I wanted to touch on, sorry to Claude, before we move on to the next item. Claude, you were saying that you were hoping you'd be able to one-shot the Raptor camp with your smite and your
Flail of Northern Winds.
Flail now. I'm sorry to pee on your Cheerios, but the base health of the small jungle camps has been increased by 20%.
Yeah.
Right. So, but they were just a tiny amount of. They just had a tiny amount of health. So half of smite damage. What is it? 390. By the time you get those, it'll be 410, 420.
Well, no.
Like
I mean, if you start red and you go straight to those, it's red won't give you level 2 anymore. So it would still.
Oh, that's
and
right.
You're not going to be. I mean, if you're killing red like too, you might not be smiting it.
That's what 145 damage to each one.
I don't think that it's going to be a part of the goal of them making these changes was to add more diversity to jungle, but to also take away some of that early game decisiveness. Where in season 4, a lot of the game was decided early on by the junglers. And they're trying to make it so that is a lot less certain. Yes, as a jungler, you can still affect the game and you can still take that into your own hands. But it became to the point where whatever junglers were powerful, your team had to work around that because it was such a make or break role and they had so much control. So you had to just build your entire team over whatever jungler happened to be strong at that point. Because if you didn't, it was such a it was such a detriment to your team if you didn't.
I think there's a great montage video to be made of people doing their first jungle clear in the preseason changes and going, "What the hell? I'm nearly dead. What's with all these with these monsters?" Because it's gonna be so much slower to clear.
Well, you're gonna have to relearn the jungle. So get in there, relearn it, and take what knowledge you have as far as the general knowledge. But as far as all the camps and the numbers and everything else, it's clean slated.
Well, and here's the thing too, for anybody who seems intimidated by any of these changes, I play this game a lot. Don't feel bad because there's a lot going on and I have no idea what's going to be the best right now. So I'm just as in the dark for the most part, other than the knowledge I have having access to look at all this stuff, which is available all over the place. It's just this.
Yeah,
this is a
Sorry,
big
go ahead.
change. No, I mean these are big changes. So don't.
And everything right now is speculation. So even the things that we're going over, it could change. These numbers came out like an hour ago.
Yeah.
We haven't had time to run numbers and things like that. None of us have played it. So this is all going to change. And next week we have Ghostcrawler on, and then we only have one episode next week. So the week after we'll all have played. We'll have some decisive numbers for you. We'll have some math and all of that stuff. But don't feel bad about not having a clue what's going on, because there's no one really that knows what's going on. It's preseason. It happens every season.
Yeah, that's the fun part. Nobody knows what's
Excited.
going on.
Right,
Wait.
right.
Exactly.
And
I'm
that,
excited.
again, this is one of those situations because nobody knows what's going on. And if you want to learn how to pick up the jungle, this is a good time to do it because everybody's going to be in a rat race
Good
to
point.
figure out what's the best. So
Absolutely.
this is the time to experiment if there ever was one and you wanted to try out this role.
I want to talk about the next two ones.
Yes,
Yeah,
move on,
I was about
because
to
these
move on.
next
So
ones-
let's.
They bring Smite to a new level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soccer's
So
Blade.
Skirmisher's Saber. Smite can be cast on enemy champions, marking them for 6 seconds. While marked, you deal 18 to 69 bonus true damage to them, have vision on them, and reduce their damage to you by 20%. So this is really like the ganking people in the jungle.
So
item.
if you're a strong duelist and you happen to have smite up when you go to invade, which if you buy this item, you probably should, and they try to duel you back, you're going to take way less damage and murder them.
Yeah.
So
Hello, Udyr.
yeah,
My gosh.
Udyr, Lee Sin, anybody who has
Kha'Zix.
yeah, Kha'Zix, anybody with some sort like good auto attacks, they can even has a buff to auto attack speed. Like it's gonna sound weird, but with Elise's W, this could be really, really good on her too, especially if you might not see a max of Q anymore. If you max W, you get a huge attack speed buff. You could put out a whole lot of true damage really, really quick.
6.25% of your Smite's current damage is what the on hit amount equals.
Right.
So,
I'm
well,
not
that's the number
sure.
right now. What were you gonna say?
I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but there's a video that was on Reddit yesterday of Warwick with this item and a wit's end one-shotting
gosh,
people with
shit.
his alt because it procs it. And it would be he'd literally alt
And
and,
then
then
smite.
they'd get out and he would just swipe at them and they were just dead. Like it just was an
That
instantaneous
is
thing.
that's such a good idea.
Well, think about it. Yeah, because you get five attacks?
Yeah.
Result, infinite
Mhm.
to rest.
Yeah.
So
I
five
mean, you
times,
look at
let's
it, you
say,
think, 18 to 69
max
true
level.
damage is not much. But yeah, it's the,
Five
it's
times
the
63.
multiple attacks in 6 seconds.
Yeah, it's all the true, like I mean it's true damage. Just a lot of early game.
Yeah.
That
Use
level
no
6
mitigation.
gank.
Yeah.
If you got that off, people don't have that
Aurelia
much health
Jungle
early.
Man.
Yeah. I mean that would be
true on true damage.
you're gonna be. I mean that's gonna be one of those cases if somebody picks Warwick
Get
and they're
Skirmisher Saber.
planning on doing that, and you're the 80 carry, you need to be picking up cleanse because they're gonna try and murder you at level 6.
Oh, Quicksilver Sash.
Cleanse
Yeah, or
doesn't-
an early
yeah.
QSS.
Yep.
And if you get 2 attack speed, 2 attack speed per second, that's 12 attacks with this on hit boost. That's pretty insane.
That's a lot of damage. Like that's the bonus damage added on to the damage that his swipe's already doing. So like
I'm
this
thinking late game with this one.
this is bonus true damage on top of your like regular auto attack damage. That's a ton of extra damage.
There's a reason they do this all during preseason when ranked isn't, as important. And it's because stuff like that's going to be found and they're going to have to make a lot of tweaks. Like, and we haven't mentioned Nunu yet, but Nunu already gets bonuses for consuming jungle camps. And now he's getting the bonuses from
He's
the
doubling
smite
up.
on jungle camps. Like, I'm not sure if anyone's seen him counter jungling yet, but it's kind of ridiculous. So a lot of these things are going to change, and that's a lot of the fun of preseason is finding things that are a little out there and kind of working through new
Definitely.
strategies and new items, and that's what makes it fun. And you guys should really take advantage of that and play around with it.
I wonder if Skirmisher, Saber, and Exhaust stack as far as the damage reduction and the extra damage you do to them. 20%, the extra damage on top of
You see
all this other
Shaco
stuff.
going into the enemy jungle and
Oh,
just
Shaco with the exhaust
obliterating
now is
people.
good night.
Oh,
I'd be
oh,
sleeping.
you burn flash.
I've got all sorts of
Don't
things
give a
brewing.
damn about that.
But the problem is you got to have smite up.
Right.
So
right.
you got to have a champion. You're not going to have those other buffs, so you got to make a decision.
Well, and
Strategic
that-
What it
versus-
was I know this is such a terrible question to ask for somebody who should know it, but what is the cooldown on smite at the moment? Because
It's 50
60
seconds.
sec. Well, 40, but
Yeah,
now
it's
it's going to
40.
be 60.
Yeah, it's gonna. It's
yeah,
it's
okay.
going
I was
up.
wondering if they were changing it
They're
because I
adding
mean,
40
really,
seconds.
smite is
It's going up. So now you'll be able to, since the minions spawn every 100 seconds, it's going to be, you can smite twice before a minion will spawn. So you can kind of plan
Yeah.
around that. But
Yeah.
Right.
And it's worth
balancing
mentioning
out
that
a little bit.
the previous two items we talked about both lower the cooldown on smite,
right,
but these next two dual items do not.
right.
So that's going to be at 60 seconds for both
So
of these.
let's talk about Stalker's Blade because it's worth considering this is one of the great things about this is you got two options. So Stalker's Blade also is cast on last smite to be cast on enemy champions, dealing 28 to 164 true damage and reducing their move speed by 50% for 2 seconds. So this is the lane ganking
Right.
jungle item.
Well, and this will help out junglers who like
have a hard
do a
time.
lot of damage, but exactly have a hard time. They either have an ability that they have to land to make the gank count,
Bolas. Yep.
yeah,
Rengar.
or
Skarner.
yeah, Skarner that would
And-
work. Jax, it could
targetable
work.
range slow.
This is to slow them down for you to get that initial, like, easy CC once you're close to them, hard to land on them once they're far away, sort of ability. And this is one of those picks that you'd have to pick this kind of with somebody in a lane who can really react quickly to what you're going to do, because if you show up, say, top lane or bottom lane or anywhere, you would want your laner to always go in and like try to help you gank, but this is even more important because you're burning a 60-second cooldown, and if they're not on the same page when you go to do this and they back off when you're going in and you don't get that kill, you can't go back to your jungle and start farming up right away and just take a camp quick and get that extra XP that you're missing out on during that time you spend ganking.
I mean, really,
Yeah, I
this
don't know
helps
if I
a
like
lot.
this one as much.
Okay.
I
was
think
just gonna say, I
I
think it really
the
helps
range
people
is
who
being
d-
underestimated.
790. It's not. It's slightly farther than Exhaust's range if you think about it that way.
Well, if you think about it, Caitlyn's attack range is what, 650?
650? Yep.
So now, I mean, that's a significant range. You can definitely sneak up on somebody and cast that.
Well,
I
you'll
don't
be-
think that.
You'll be able to cast it probably like from river, like say you're ganking bottom lane, from river brush to the middle of the lane, a little maybe coming at them. They'll see you by
gotta
the
come
time
out
you
of
get
it,
it off.
yeah.
They'd see you by the time you came out, but it is a pretty big range. But again, this is gonna need way more coordination to make work, unless you're just one of those champions that, sure, I'm gonna go in and kill them by myself because they're slowed. Otherwise, this is more of the, hey, we're gonna get people a bunch of assists and they're slowed, and let's murder them and take an objective and really make the use of that 60-second cooldown worth it.
I mean, I wonder. So I think this is good for junglers that don't have a really great gap closer. I mean, Udyr does alright because he moves so fast, but this is allow him to much more easily get into range, because you got to remember, if you're going in with red buff, so you're going for an early gank, you've got the Stalker's Blade slow, and then you've got the red
When you
buff
get
slow.
there, you start slowing them.
Yeah.
It-
But I wonder if it's going to make Lee Sin, Kha'Zix, those sorts just unbearably difficult, because they'll be able to smite you with their slow.
Make them
And
stickier.
with Kha'Zix, he can then use his Void Spikes and get it slow, and then he can hit you with red buff and slow you. So this is one of those things where I wonder if it's going to send those who are good kind of totally off the deep end, like a bit with
Right.
with Nunu with the counter jungling. He's going to be so ridiculously powerful with the new items. I wonder if
Oh,
this is
yeah.
going to do the same thing for those ganking, lane gank.
Well,
this could be
and
lane gankers.
another way you could look at this too is it's basically a Blade of the Rune King active with the slow. It just doesn't do
Yeah.
the, like, it's gonna do
point.
some damage, but it's not gonna do the percent damage.
Well,
and it's
someone
way longer
mentioned
range.
Someone mentioned exhaust. Exhaust has a range of 650 and it only slows for 40%. So if you think about extending that by a significant percentage and then adding an extra 10% of slow, I mean, anyone who's been exhausted, it's a terrifying couple
Yeah.
seconds
Especially when
trying to
people
get
are
out of
bearing
there.
down on you.
Right,
Yep.
Yeah.
right. And usually, especially like if you're, in bot lane or in mid where people just naturally tend to have some sort of CC, if you add that slow on top of now a free exhaust, essentially, except for obviously it doesn't change their attack speed or anything but like that. But in terms of like the slow, that's a significant amount. Like Blade of the Ruin King is only a 30% slow. Randuin's Omen is a 35% slow. The only other one that comes close is the Frost Queen's Claim, which is a 50% slow. And that one's kind of hard to hit because the range is a little weird on
And
it, and the cast is a little weird.
I was about to say,
But
there's a
if you get
delay.
hit by it, you're not moving.
Right.
Like,
And it's
you're,
only
Well,
a 60-second cooldown as opposed to
and
exhaust 210.
This item's also going to be great for ganking the longer lanes as well, where you're going to be able to go to a lane if somebody's pushed up, you used it, they're slowed, and if they flashed, you still have time to catch up to them before they get to a turret, as long as you're planning it out right. Less effective in mid lane where you flash and you're almost at your turret if you're in the middle of the lane, but it's the same. It's a better version of exhaust. It just doesn't last.
But
2
since
seconds.
there's so many other things you can use smite on too,
Right.
as you were saying
Well,
earlier,
that's
if you,
the thing,
if
you
you
make
just blow
the
this and you don't get the gank off correctly,
Well,
I mean that's
that-
gonna
it's-
hurt. That's
you're
gonna hurt you in
behind.
farming.
Yep.
And if they come to counter gank you and they do have their smite up, you're screwed.
Well, say they have
Yeah.
their smite up and they have that other smite item, the
The skirmisher saber.
yeah, the skirmisher saber.
Yep.
I
They're
just wouldn't
gonna win out that
underestimate
trade.
it. Because if nothing else, it makes it impossible to dodge skill shots when you're slowed to that amount. So it's really easy to land everything else you have on it, and that's really powerful. Even if you're not in lane, if you want to talk about catching somebody out later, if you're the initiator and you can throw that down on somebody, it really locks someone down. So
Say
it may
Good way
not
to
be the
guarantee a game.
most dominant. It may not be the most dominant choice, but I do think it has a place, and I think it can be definitely powerful in the right hands.
well, let's
2
say
seconds. Just so
yeah,
you know.
2 seconds. I mean that's
That's a
enough
long
time. That's
time.
enough time for a thresh to get a
That's-
hook off, a blitz to get a grab off,
Plenty of time.
a
Right.
bubble
Heck
to
of a get on
land.
the other side.
Yeah, it's
More than enough time.
yeah,
Exhaust
that's-
is only 2.5 seconds. I mean, when you say 2 seconds, it sounds really short. Until
Until
you're
you
in
get- yeah.
game and you can't move for 2 seconds.
right.
So
It-
it's
again-
really easy to go, oh, it's only 2 seconds, but like there's Blade of the Ruin King has a 3-second slow duration, and that's only for 30%. But other than that, everything is pretty much universally 2.5 seconds. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot.
It's way more meaningful. It feels like 2 seconds feels like 4 seconds when there's 3 people
Right.
chasing you.
I just don't, because of all the decisions, the strategic decisions you make in the jungle, when to use your smite, how to use your smite, I don't think I'd like Stalker's Blade as much as the other choices. If I am going to smite a champion, I think I'd rather have the Skirmisher's Saber. Unless you're ahead, maybe, and you're using it just to try to secure the gank. I don't know. I see Stalker's Blade better early game, Skirmisher's Saber better late game.
Yeah,
Well,
a
Skirmisher
lot of it
Saber-
depends on your play style. Too.
Skirmisher Saber is also,
Right.
in a way, a better split pushing tool too, because now if somebody goes to, say you're jungling somebody like Jax, and your jungler is the guy who's going to be split pushing. Now you can go and split push, and if one person or a couple people go to deal with you, if you're that far ahead, they're doing way less damage to you, and you're chunking them even harder. Like when you're hitting them, you're doing true damage to them on top of that damage that you're already doing. That's going to be a really great tool.
I mean, a jungle.
Now, here's the
Yi,
thing.
Like, I mean, he's the perfect example of somebody who's just going to absolutely annihilate people with the skirmisher's saber. Because once you've got that attack speed, if he's got he's got sort of 1.5, 1.7 attack speed, that's a lot of damage in 6 seconds. So
You know what? If the enemy jungler, though, uses Stalker's Blade or uses Skirmisher's Saber, and it's that laning phase, that awkward between laning and mid phase, call it out. Say, look,
Yep.
jungler's smite is down, dragon. Go for an objective, maybe take that opportunity to do the counter jungle that you was talking about, the scary, they're going to come in and you're kind of fucked. So the enemy's going to know that you've used your smite. And if the enemy jungler is smart and is as aggressive as a player as someone like Chira, for example. They can use that to their advantage. So be careful with these champion targeted smite abilities as well. It's all about the decision making. I can see
Now we
later
should probably
game
move
where
into
you're not
the.
worrying about it as much. You're more champion focused, but early game it's kind of a risk.
Now, what we'll do is we'll move on to the enchantments because this is where things start to get really fun in terms of jungle itemization. So, not only have you got these new 4 jungle items, now each of these items can be given an enchantment. There's 4 enchantments: Devourer, Juggernaut,
Really like
Magus, and Warrior. And this is essentially where the sort of late game elements of the jungle items. So, Devourer is you need to upgrade his Hunter Machete, 600 gold, and 2 daggers. It gives you 50% attack speed, 40 damage on hit, and then essentially the Feral Flare, the old Feral Flare passive. So this is essentially what Feral Flare has become. So yeah, what do we think of Devourer? I mean, really, it doesn't. It's just Feral Flare. So I mean, there's not really anything different.
50% attack speed right away, and you don't have to worry about farming it up. You just get 40 magic damage on hit.
That's
a really
huge
good
thing.
point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you won't have the issue of because
But
before
you can farm it up,
jungling,
though.
say Yi really heavily, you could sort of delay his Feral Flare for as long as possible, so he couldn't just then
Well,
go and destroy everybody. Where this essentially means you can't do that.
But you
600 gold
can-
is not much, and daggers are cheap.
Right.
You can farm it, but I'm curious, what do you have to build this? Of course you have to build the enchant to farm it. It won't save up everything you've done, assuming you're going to pick Devour. Because it does have a passive, killing large monsters increases the magic damage of the item by 1,
But-
champion kills by 2. But that's
But-
after you've invested 2,300 gold.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off with stacks. Feral Flare right
Armor
now gives you,
champions.
I think it's like a 30% attack speed. Is that right? Yeah, it definitely has. This is a little bit stronger than the current Feral Flare, and there's a little bit less risk involved in it because you do start with stacks. It's not something that, you might not get the stacks until way late in the game, because before you're purchasing this, you have a decision, whereas Feral Flare, you have to kind of work up to it. But yeah, I think it has the potential to be really strong on some of those other champions that you would have been building Feral Flare on.
Yeah, you don't have the attack damage, but it's a lot more expensive too. But you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to say, I don't want to go and save my turret from getting some damage by killing those minions because I'd rather get a couple stacks on these 2 monsters.
Right.
But they are expensive. 2250 gold for each enchantment. Keep that in mind. But that's just so you have
Yeah,
an
but I mean,
item.
that's probably pretty
you don't
comparable to
sell.
what it was before anyway.
It is comparable to the old jungling items, and for the most part, these enchantments, these enchantments, they basically embody pieces of the old jungle items. So,
Right.
like the next item, Juggernaut, basically Spirit of the Ancient Golem. You build it out of a Kindle Gem, a Ruby Crystal, your Hunter's Machete you've already built up at this point, and 250 extra gold again, 2250 gold. You get 500 health, 10% cooldown reduction, and we see a return to the tenacity on this item. So
Basically,
is,
Elder Golem, when it was
back.
at the best point of its short journey in the League of Legends, that tenacity is so good.
well, it frees you up to build something other than Merc Treads if they have stuns.
Yep.
So this item, back up to a pretty scary point, at least the enchantment. I loved Spirit of the Ancient
been a
Golem,
500
even on people that Feral Flare was good on, or other items after they changed Feral Flare up again. Spirit of the Ancient Golem was always this staple item if you didn't really know what to do, because it was useful basically no matter what the situation. So they're keeping that the Juggernaut enchantment is within the same vein, and Spirit of the Ancient Golem is living on and well with this item.
And you know what? When you can get tenacity and something like that, Ninja Tabi are really, really strong. And people don't get it because there's so much CC in this game, and that tenacity is so important. But when it opens you up where you don't have to get Merc Treads and you can get those Ninja Tabi, it's really important. Like those are a really good choice when you're against a lot of AD. and you have that option, it blocks 10% of damage from basic attacks. So when you have a fed ADC on the other team, or right now there's some pretty big all AD comps that are coming out, it gives you a lot of options, and that's essentially the enemy ADC doing about 10% less damage to you. And that's a significant amount. So when you can forego and not get the Merc Treads and you can pick up that Ninja Tabby, it's a great choice.
Right.
And it doesn't hinder you and your gap closing ability or your ability to stick to somebody. So, and one other thing that I forgot to mention, I know it like way off track, but for the Devourer, if you were interested, for anyone who used to get the Feral Flare, you got one stack for champion kills or assists. So a lot of times you'd see Master Yi just stay in the jungle all day. You get 2 stacks now for
killing a
champion
player.
kills or
Or just that
assists.
killing
So that
one.
I feel like that's just worth noting because it does encourage you to play with your team and to make those ganks and not just sit in the jungle. So I just felt like mentioning that real quick. But yeah, I really think that tenacity is so valuable.
So I kind of look at Boots of Swiftness quite favorably. I mean, I probably always go Boots of Mobility just because it gives you that ganking power. But Boots of Swiftness because, well, firstly, the slow reduction, and that stacks on top of tenacity. So
Yep.
essentially, anybody who's trying to slow you is never going to slow you because it reduces the slow effect and then the duration. But also, it allows you to stick with the enemy during a team fight, which, you know, when you're sort of a tanky jungler, you want to sort of be able to keep applying your CC. So Boots of Swiftness, I kind of look at I sort of look at it and think, well, that's not a bad option. Where I
Right.
think before you'd probably have to, or you'd go Merc Trades, or you'd go Brave Mobility or something like that.
Before Feral Flare was a thing, and when Spirit of the Ancient Golem had Tenacity on it, it was one of my favorite items to build on Udyr. You get that Spirit of the Ancient Golem and those movement speed boots, and then just laugh when people try to slow you down or stun you because it kind of run around and do whatever the hell you want. And that is kind of back with this. You know, the Feral Flare part's still going to be great on him, but I love cooldown reduction on items, and health is always great. And tenacity is just a stat you can't get like everywhere. So
let's look at the Magus enchantment.
Yeah.
Plus 80 ability power, plus 20% cooldown reduction. So it's pretty much a Morellonomicon without the
they changed it.
5
They changed it to
10%.
10% CDR.
Yeah.
Oh, they did?
With
Yep.
attachments.
Now it is currently, as
Makes
of
sense.
the most recent news, only 10% CDR. But
Oh,
Okay.
I'm okay with that though, because CDR is one of the most readily
easy to
available
overstack.
stats in the game. So if you're picking up 20% on one item, it kind of limits the rest of your build. Not limits your build because you can still build other things, but it takes away from your build a little bit. So
Well,
I think that 10%
I mean, you
is
just get
enough.
Morellonomicon.
I mean,
if you buy Morello,
almost
like, when
every
it's-
item in the game has some sort of cooldown reduction. Not almost every one of them, but most of them, a lot of them have it. So there's definitely other options to get that. And then usually you start with 10% in masteries anyway, or 7%. So you have other options with it. I don't feel like that 10% that they took away is going to be a make it or break it for that item.
and ADAB is nothing to laugh at either. So
yeah, I mean, you're
Yeah,
pretty
that's
much,
a lot.
Yeah, it's a full
Yeah, you're
game.
pretty much shoehorning again this if you're AP anyways, and you want to do damage. So it's not like, oh, I'm not going to get this now that I don't have the 20%. You know, it's the only choice you have,
yeah.
unless you
AP's
want to get
trying
the
to maybe-
Juggernaut.
I mean, what I've heard is actually that Diana now is one of the most scary junglers just because of this enchantment, and I'm not entirely sure which actual machete item they use for it, but essentially now she has there was one weakness to her kit, and these items now completely solve all of it, and it just makes Diana insane. She
Well,
clears like
she
a
can-
beast. She ganks like a
She
maniac.
Shield
clears.
anything.
She's gonna leave the jungle doing a ton of damage and assassinate your face. Like
Yeah.
80 AP off of an item.
But
like,
didn't
that's
didn't
really cheap.
Elder Spirit, like didn't the AP item in this season have
Spectral Wraith.
80 AP as well?
Let me check that.
Does it? Spectral Wraith?
Yep.
Yep. And
Yeah,
we
so-
all go to
Yeah, we're all
Wiki and check it out.
50
Okay.
ability power.
Yeah. So
Oh,
you're
it's only
getting
50,
30.
okay.
You're getting
Yeah,
30
yeah.
more out of it. I mean, you're losing.
And it's only
the
250 gold cheaper, more
But-
expensive.
Yeah.
But
And that
Spectral
you
Wraith
get
gave you 2 ability power for every large monster kill.
Right. It,
But I
it
mean, you don't have to
build you
But
up.
your machete
like-
has some, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But the new
But
machete
but
has
the max
that.
stacks is 15, so I mean, you just get the 80
Yeah, so
ability buff
essentially
right
it's
off
the
bat
same.
now.
Yep. Yeah. So instead of having to farm it up, essentially a bit like the Feral Flare, you don't have to farm it up anymore. You just bam, straight
Yep.
up all the bonuses.
You got
I
it.
don't know. I might go Devour on Diana to synergize with her passive, make it proc more. But then again, I'm a Feral Flare Diana player sometimes, so.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Warrior. So this is the replacement for is Lizard Elder. It's 45 attack damage, 10% CDR, and 10 armor penetration. Which
Pantheon
I would have
Warrior,
thought would make it very good for someone like a Pantheon because he really
just for
digs.
the attack damage.
Yeah.
Well, armor pen's always been really solid on him too, with those
Yep.
Yeah,
just
and it's
stabbing
flat.
people in the yeah it's flat. This is good on anybody who, not necessarily the tankier AD people walking out of the jungle, but anybody who's pretty damage oriented. This is a pretty solid item.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
but
how
again,
would this
remember
compare
this is
to-
after 2250 gold, so you're not going to have this early.
Right.
In
Well,
the
you're
laning
not going to have
phase
this
when you're
nearly as
ganking,
early as
so.
the old school jungle items either. So.
Right. Maybe
Well,
a
yeah,
little bit.
I
Well,
think it's
it-
about 250 gold more.
The reason I
Which
say
is
that
not
is with the jungle being harder, it's
Right. And the longer respawn rates,
Right.
etc.
not going to be as easy to farm.
So gank, hit those lanes while they're respawning.
I think
Cool.
one of the
All right, well,
reasons
that's all the-
Diana is coming back too is like these changes are giving a little bit more power to those junglers who were weak pre-6. Even Warwick, who kind of makes up for a late game, has isn't always in favor because his pre-6 is really, really weak. Diana's the same way. She had very little ganking potential before she got her ult and could stick on people. And this, one, limits the early ganks, and two, if you're really set on ganking pre-6, some of these options have, like the smite options, give you a way to actually get and close on people. So I feel like that's going to help Diana a lot too.
I'll be playing her, that's for sure. Let's see how that works.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think what's interesting about the Warrior one is, I mean, you're really trading the true damage you're getting for now for just straight AD. So I wonder to what extent that actually helps or hinders your Nocturnes, your Jarvans, those sorts of champions, because, I mean, they're usually built, they got all this true damage. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys reckon?
You'd probably be still seeing something like the Feral Flare equivalent on somebody like Nocturne, just because that extra attack speed really helps out on him. He's going to get a ton of extra attack speed anyway, and because he's getting so much extra attack speed, he's already doing mostly AD. You add some extra magic damage onto it, plus he does AoE while he's farming.
And
that-
you don't have to spend as much time farming,
Yeah,
so you
that-
spend more time ganking because you just buy the items.
That
without
adds
having
up to a lot
farm
of
it up.
damage.
Yeah.
If you don't have to itemize for more attack power to get more attacks off, you can just get that item and then focus on building other stuff, and you're still doing a significant amount of damage to the enemies, even if you're building tanky, which usually you don't see just a full AD Nocturne because they get blown up if they go in. So I can see that working out that way.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Well,
It's just,
what do we want to move
I
on
think
to
we've
next?
hit-
Because there's
Well,
So-
we've hit all the items that we wanted to hit. And last episode we talked about all the new camps. So
There are
jungle
elixirs.
preseason jungle we discussed. I think we've hit jungle fully, right? Are we going to move on to
Yeah.
non-jungle
we can
preseason?
move on to one of the millions and millions of other things that are in the current patch notes that are being changed in the preseason. So,
See
have
if
you
we
have
can
you
get
guys
to
talked
that?
about the elixirs yet? The
No.
new elixirs?
No, wait, we need to
No,
hit
we
ta-
haven't done elixirs or towers or any of the other items.
let's
yet.
do-
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
wow.
let's do the other
Well,
items
We haven't
and
got that
then
much longer, so maybe we
wrap
should
up
talk about
towers.
elixirs because
Okay.
towers-
Yeah,
elixirs.
we can just finish up items since we spent the other
The
panel
entire
items.
episode talking about jungle.
Right.
Yeah, we've
So
got
the-
4 new
the-
elixirs
the-
now.
4 new elixirs. Yeah, so the old elixirs are gone. See you later, along with a bunch of other items which we'll say goodbye. Negatron, like bye. Thanks for playing.
RIP.
Atlas Impaler, see ya. So 4 new elixirs: elixir of iron, elixir of ruin, elixir of sorcery, elixir of wrath. Again, these are based on role types rather than sort of tanks or fighters or mages. So elixir of iron, they're all 400 gold. Elixir of iron increases your size, increases your slow resistance, your tenacity, and it gives you a
buff.
path that your allied champions, when they follow, they get a move speed buff. Elixir of ruin is extra health, true damage to turrets, and Siege Commander buff, because this game needs more buffs to minions for fighting towers, which is 50% bonus damage to turrets and move speed based on your movement speed. Elixir of Sorcery is 40 ability power, 15 mana regen for 5, and true damage to turrets. And then Elixir of Wrath is 25 attack damage, and when you deal physical damage, you get you heal for 10% of damage dealt, which is pretty crazy when you start to think of critical hits. But yeah,
And if you kill somebody,
yeah.
that duration is extended. It
30
extends
30
the
seconds.
the flask. So it's called bloodlust. Basically, you kill people and it stays on you longer.
yeah.
So get thirsty.
So
Thirsty,
I mean,
my
these
friends.
are all pretty for 400 gold.
That's
All
not
of
an
these are
Olaf.
pretty insane.
All
Well,
right. Can anybody else just see Scion picking up an early elixir of iron before a team fight and then just ulting all the way down a lane and having his team follow up, just
yes.
sprinting behind him?
Wow.
And how big
Yeah.
he'll look.
I
That's gonna make
know.
for some more great Reddit videos
I
of
know.
Scion running past everybody.
All the champions following him.
Straight into the
Well,
wall.
hey, if he runs past everybody, his team can get to those people that he ran past even faster.
Well, let's also point out that the elixirs can be purchased before level 9 now. So, I mean, I think they had to do that with the 400 gold. I mean,
Yeah.
that's starting gold
Yeah,
money,
you know,
and then
yeah.
all the stats you get. I mean, everybody was starting with elixirs at level 1. So.
I mean, they only last 3
Or
minutes.
Galio,
But
you know, cast his little wind gust thing and
oh,
make
yeah.
the trail on top of that. Double it up.
Or even something
ghost
like
for
a
everyone.
Janna. Like if you really want to get people around the map fast, like Janna is probably you're gonna get them around quicker than anybody. Well, actually, Elixir of Ruin with Janna wouldn't be too bad because it they gain movement speed based on your movement speed. So Moby Boots Janna, zooming those minions to the end zone.
Yeah, I can see an Olaf holding on to an elixir of wrath at all times. When he's starting to get low, vicious strikes,
Yeah.
bam, elixir of wrath, and just
if he kills somebody, it lasts
One
even after the
people.
fight's done. You're ready to go
Oh,
the
yeah.
next time around.
Well, I mean, Elixir of
That's
Wrath
gonna
with
be
like
fun.
a Tristana, like with Eye Edge, Phantom Dancer, is just gonna never die. She would just have so much lifesteal because it's
Oh, the,
10% of.
yeah.
I mean, it's essentially 10%
Damage dealt.
lifesteal.
It's
But
10%
it
life
doesn't seem
steal
like
for
it's
400
lifesteal, so
gold.
this would stack on top of everything else.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, that's cool. So,
I mean,
Sorcery's kind of cool.
it's again a lot of this has a lot to do with towers because if you look at the sorcery and the ruin,
Yeah.
true damage to bonus true damage to turrets. So it's interesting of how much of the new preseason changes really focuses around turrets, and I'm really curious to see to what extent that actually helps guide newer players because, I mean, the classic Bronze 5 strategy is farm for 60 minutes and whoever happens to win is whoever happens to win.
Well-
where a lot of this is a lot more focused on
and
getting
Making
into those
some
towers.
fights happen.
from the
Yeah.
information we have too, Elixir of Ruin seems like it would synergize extremely well with that new Baron buff, which we talked about on Monday. You pick up Elixir of Ruin, you're doing 50% more damage to turrets. Well, and your minions are doing 15% more damage to turrets. Couple that with Baron, they're doing way more damage to turrets, and they're moving faster, which they're already doing with Baron. One person in that lane with that could completely take that lane before anybody can show up to do anything about it. That's pretty scary.
I mean, they have to do because they also buffed turrets a lot too and made them more defensible. So they had to even it out by adding these effects
Counterplay
to
options.
items that help you. Right. They're kind of countering the buffs that they made, giving you options to deal with it through items.
Well,
Well,
look
I
at
mean, if
elixir of
you-
sorcery. I mean, you do 40 bonus damage. It says dealing damage. It doesn't say auto attacks. So you hit them with a spell, and you get 40 bonus damage with a cooldown of 5 seconds. So your one rotation that just barely doesn't kill them with Vagar will now
Kill them.
probably kill them.
Well, if you think about the elixirs that were in place for season 4 and Baron buffs, one of the best counters to Baron was to buy elixirs. They kind of canceled each other out, and this is, like you guys mentioned, gives you that option to kind of counteract that buff and that Baron. And I do think that the sorcery is really important, like the elixir sorcery. When you look at the fact that damaging a turret deals 25 bonus true damage and has no cooldown versus turrets, I mean, that can be pretty powerful late game
it
in
definitely
terms
adds
of
up.
like if you're trying to close out a game and you have, that extra gold, I mean, that extra damage adds up a lot when you're doing something to tower.
Ginsu's Elixir of Sorcery push.
I think Elixir of Iron is going to be really great for tanky support. I mean, obviously, it's pitched a tanky support champion, so that's no surprise. But I mean, like an Alistair with 25% tenacity and increased size, like, you're never going to be able to kill him, and you're not going to be able to slow him down long enough to try and kill him when his thing runs off. Leona, Braum, like, all of them are going to have a huge... I mean, Braum particularly, like, the increased size is going to increase the size of his shield, which means he can soak up more damage, which... Again, because he's soaking up all those CC, he's got tenacity. Like the extra, like having tenacity on it, and an easily be purchased item for tanky supports is going to be a huge thing.
Yeah.
Heck, I mean, even probably top laners, like some top laners will probably benefit a lot from tenacity.
Well,
because yeah.
And these elixirs are also one of those things. If you have such an advantage at level 9 where you can afford to blow 400 gold to really make that advantage count for the next 3 minutes, that could be a viable choice to use something like this. If you're that really, really fed Rengar that is running around doing stuff, you, after level 9, decide, hey, I'm going to pick up this berserking elixir and go in and start one-shotting people even harder. And it's going to last a long time after that because you're killing people constantly. That, you're going to be able to run in, hit people, not die right away because you have more lifesteal, and then if you do kill them, you still have that rolling after the fact. That could be really terrifying.
Yeah. What other? I think we should move on to other jungle items. Try to wrap them up.
Sure.
That's all the jungle items. You mean the other items in general?
Items. Well, there's 3 new non-jungle items: Righteous Glory, Crystalline Bracer, and Raptor Cloak.
So, Righteous Glory, how are we actually going for time?
There's a lot of item changes left, actually.
Yeah.
There's a lot of item changes.
So, up to you guys, but pretty exciting changes here.
Yeah, there's
we can
so
talk about
much
the new
going on.
Mogs,
So-
even the ones that already exist are getting many changes, so a lot of stuff to
Righteous
talk
Glory
about.
is a new tanky sort of item. It's 2,500 gold. It's built out of a Catalyst, a Protector, and a Crystalline Bracer, and 700 gold. It gives you 500 health, 100% base health regeneration. It gives you the leveling up HP mana regen that Catalyst ordinarily gives you, and its unique active is grants 60% move speed to nearby allies when moving towards enemies or enemy turrets for 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, a shockwave is emitted, slowing nearby champion movement by 80% for 1 second. The effect may be reactivated early to instantly release the shockwave.
And the whole
So if you watch
point-
the preseason patch notes, they basically said this is the item to allow you to chase down disengaged.
Yep, this is the item to deal with people who are going to try and either poke you out and back off or skirmish a little bit and run away.
I can see even the Crystalline Bracer, the one that you build towards it, it's only 620 gold, builds out a Ruby Crystal and the Rejuve Bead. 200 health and 50% base health regen. Like Leona, for example. They hit her health regen because she was so powerful. And now she kind of fell out. You just grab this item, bam, you get your health regen right back up there. And some flat health. And you hold on to it until you get your Righteous Glory. So, tanky supports. This looks like an awesome item.
This just seems like an
Yeah, this
awesome
is kind of
item in
like
general.
the anti-Shurelya or the anti-Talisman of Ascension. Well, in fact, if you combine this with Talisman of Ascension, that would be
You could use both.
Yeah, you're going to be running people
crazy
down.
Engages.
Just change one after the
that would
other.
be insane. So yeah, I mean, it also probably helps a lot with like champions that like tanky support champions that maybe don't have a great engage. So, I mean, obviously, it's like someone like a Leona has got really great initiation, but Braum is less like. I think he'd be helped a lot by this because his initiation isn't so crash hot.
His problem
Maybe
is
even
with
Alistair to
this-
an extent. It actually would allow Alistair to sort of change his initiation. So rather than, instead of flash queuing, he'd basically run in with this and Talisman, pulverize, and then knock people back.
Yeah, I think I'm not purely focused on supports with this item because I think it would just be great on anybody that dives in because there's the proportion or the portion of it where you have to be the nearby enemies for the movement speed slow to go off, so you have to get in somehow. So I'm thinking like a champion like Xin Zhao, where actually he can get in easily, but after that, what is what does he do? Kind of maybe he can knock somebody up, maybe not. With this item, he's in the middle of everybody, he can slow everybody down. So, so long as you can get in there, and you have this item,
It can
then
really
you've
pay
got
off.
initiation. You don't have to have
Darius.
it followed up anymore.
Imagine a Darius with this. Like Darius has problems with with engaging on teams that can disengage. Well, this allows him to
How many
again,
times?
run in there.
Yeah, how many
slow
times have you
everybody
seen
down.
that Darius miss his E by just an inch on a team that's backing
Yeah.
off, and that grab would have made the difference in that fight or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's given other options other than just supports of the talisman to have that little everybody move faster buff.
And actually,
So, I'd be
because
interested
it's
to see
built
where
out
it
of
goes.
Catalyst, it's going to be really good for top laners who need more sustain. Because I mean, Catalyst is actually a pretty good item. You know,
It keeps you
like
in-
instead of going for a crystalline flask.
Right. It'll keep you in the lane longer, make it easy for you to get XP. If you're not at a threat of dying, you can stay there when your enemy laner needs to back and get slightly ahead in levels because of it, or even gold because you're in lane longer.
It'd be great for Maokai.
Yeah, very
Think
good.
about it.
Would be
I
very,
mean, Maokai is
very
also
good.
one of those champions where he can get in there and then he can threaten
Oh,
the
yeah.
shield, but everyone can just walk away from him. But this
Yeah,
would
this
give him the
screams
regeneration in
Maokai.
lane and the tankiness, and you can slow everybody down.
I think this is going to be good on champions that don't really have a way to either hard engage or stick. If you
Right.
already have a slow, it's not going to be as effective because slows stack
Yeah, like I wouldn't see it in Moon Moon doing this.
multiplicatively. Yeah, they the way that slows stack is a little weird. And so if you already have a slow, this is actually going to be less effective than it would have otherwise been without. So if you already have, it might not be the best on champions that already have a gap closer and can get into the middle of a fight, but it does give you other options that, I'm going to make Adam buy it after that one game where he was all like, I wish someone had Australia's.
Well,
Like now it does give you the option to kind of take that in your own
I
hands.
can't
you know?
wait for the game where you're just going to be like, God, I wish somebody had the righteous,
A
glory. Adam. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, I should point out that the talisman move speed buff is actually 40%. So this item actually gives a better move speed bonus than Talisman of Ascension. This is better than
It is.
Shurelya's, which is pretty nuts. Like,
What's
Yeah,
the
I mean, I'm sure
duration
we'll
of
all see
Shurelya's?
team fights which are going to be completely changed by the use of Shurelya's, where
Get this
Yeah.
and a talisman on Hecarim, and then just use it for the extra AD. Stack them together.
The
Go
duration
flying.
is 3 seconds punch.
Okay, so same duration too.
The only
Yeah,
issue
it'll be
is
great against teams with like a Janna or somebody like that where
Oh,
you just
yeah.
The
you
difference-
can't catch them.
the
Poke
difference
comps. Yeah,
between
too.
this and a Shurelya's, though, is that you have to be moving towards a turret, whether that be
Yep.
your own or
Can't use
Right.
Shurelya.
Or an enemy champion.
or enemy champions. So
Yep.
it's not. This isn't like a
Got the
great
Vayne effect, yeah.
disengage tool,
Yeah, it's
but
not
it
escape.
is a great engage tool.
And then we can just throw in that last new item, Raptor Cloak.
Yep. And we could probably talk a little bit of Omrecker because
They changed Omrecker, yep.
Which is so good. It's actually probably worth buying now. So Raptor Cloak is the new item. It's a build item towards Omrecker. It's cloth armor, rejuve bead, and 520 gold. So total cost is 1,000 gold, 30 armor, 100% base health regeneration, and its unique passive is builds up 30% move speed over 2 seconds while near turrets. So again, this is more focus around the turrets. And they've really changed. They've changed Omrecker to be more of a tanky rather than an AP sort of item. It's now actually a tank item. So it's got 300 base health, no AP. It builds out a Raptor Cloak, Kingdom Gem, and 750 gold, so 2,600 gold total, which is a really nice price for what you get. 10% CDR. You've got the passive, the Point Runner passive, and then of course the Omrecker active, which is now 3 seconds instead of 2.5. So yeah, I'm really liking new Omrecker. I'm liking the Raptor Cloak. I think
And
it's
the
nice
big
stuff.
thing to note about this is Omrecker is still doing its thing where it prevents enemy turrets from attacking for 3 seconds,
Yep.
but
Right.
now it's giving you a
Choose yours.
speed buff during that time. So say you choose to use this on an enemy turret, it's not attacking you, and it starts attacking you, you can get the hell out of
Get
there
out.
real quick.
Yeah.
Which is something you couldn't necessarily do in the past.
Yeah.
So-
Are we going to see tank Azirs running this to buff their own turrets?
Just call
Whoa.
Wrecker.
Yeah.
He's gonna be doing that
Whoa.
shit.
Got cooldown
I,
reduction with his zero likes.
I think that it's important to remember that this is much better in dive comps. Like, it's not just a must buy for a tanky jungler or tanky any initiator in general. Because if you're not going to be diving turrets, you're not going to get the effectiveness off of it. And there are a lot better options for the same sort of stats that you're looking for, like the regen and the cooldown and things like that. But if you have a dive comp, and I mean, they're pretty popular when you start getting into AoE dives. I mean, they're pretty powerful comps. So I think that it has a lot of potential. Whereas before, when you're putting, that preventing enemy turrets to attack, and then you're adding like AP on it,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it was
weird.
really disjointed. It didn't make a lot of sense. This gives it a purpose, and it's a very specific purpose, but it's a usable purpose. As
Well,
opposed
that's
to
the thing.
before.
It completely rewards diving.
Right.
So like now, if you want to dive, you can dive way better than you would have been able to otherwise.
And somebody on the front
Right.
lines
The
to
thing
pick it
is-
up, as opposed to whoever was supposed to pick up the old one with AP.
I don't know
like
who's
right.
the
that.
support, maybe.
Well, I
don't
mean,
know.
I think it would have been okay on like Sonas, Namis, Jannas, Lulus, like sort of AP support champions that don't really dive because they don't have the tank stats to do it. But the main issue for me was the build path was kind of stupid, like a blasting
Yeah.
one. Like who seriously is going to have, which support is going to have like
The extra
400,
money to spend on that.
860
Yeah.
to spend on that, where this is much more solid. I mean, I guess they could have changed the old Ohm record to be maybe a Phoenix Codex, which would have been a lot better, but it's everything.
Well-
There's nice steps, like a Raptor Cloak is cloth armor, rejuve bead, 520 gold, easy. Raptor Cloak,
Yep.
Kindle Gem, easy. 750 gold, a bit of a jump, but still, it's not too bad. But yeah, I think this is gonna. So I actually think this would still be okay, maybe on sort of or the squishier type supports, because that 3 seconds disabling turret would just is going to enable you to carry like a really dive turret's a lot more effective. Where I guess, I mean,
You
You're probably
still
not
need
gonna
a
build it
dive
early
comp,
enough.
though. Like, you can get
Yeah,
it on a
yeah.
squishy support if you have a dive comp, but it's a waste to get it if you're not going to be diving turrets. Even if you're
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
sieging
Yeah, for
turrets,
sure.
it's not worth it. And before, there are supports that, I mean, the 2,000 gold it used to be really isn't that bad when you look at support gold income now. It's really not that bad.
Right, compared to
But
the
the
past.
problem is that if you're a support building blasting one because all it gave you was AP and it didn't give you CDR, you're building full damage. You're a Zyra or you're a Vel'Koz or you're someone building damage. So you're not going to be buying. You wouldn't have been buying it anyway because you wouldn't have been going for those.
I was about to say you're
the
never.
health and things like that.
Well, if you're buying those items too, most of the time those champs don't even need to get really in range of the turret
Right,
to
right.
start.
They're long range champions.
Yeah,
It
they're-
just this synergizes the stats that it offers. Just synergizes so much better, and it's not just. I mean, it's much more malleable in terms of like who can build it and where
Right.
it's effective and things like that. But I mean, even honestly, if you have, I wouldn't even build it. You can build it on a squishy team, but I think it's wasted. Typically, there are no squishy range supports. That doesn't happen. So, I mean, sorry, squishy melee support. So you're going to be ranged, so you're not really going to need to be diving. And if your team is diving, then it's usually better to have something reactive like this on the people who are diving. Like, so I just think it's going to be better on either tanky supports or the tanky junglers who are initiating or top lanes or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're going to be playing a support and you're a squishier role and you're not going to be the one diving, like if you're a Leon or a Thresh, then great, that's awesome. But if you're going to be playing like a Sona or a Karma or something, I think this is kind of a wasted thing on you, especially like with the 100% base health regeneration. If you're that squishy, you're not going to have time to regen your health. I mean, that
Well, maybe
regen
it's
isn't
me.
going to do as
I
much
just
for
dive with
you.
everybody.
Right. If you're going to
I-
you're just gonna die and you won't have time to regen.
Yeah.
I think it's more effective, definitely on tankier people in general.
And it's still kind of
Yeah,
a
I
pocket
mean, I
buy.
think
You
jungle
know,
and
if they
top
have a
is
Ziggs, you
probably
might want to
really-
get it.
I think like type of jungles is probably worth considering buying. I think you probably wouldn't buy it so much on some like Leona or Alistair probably doesn't need it. By the time you actually got enough gold to buy this thing, because you've already got your Sightstone and all the rest of the stuff you would ordinarily buy. It's probably too late. Like you probably Leona's already so tanky, Alistair's already so tanky that they just don't give a crap anyhow. Braum
Well,
and Thresh, they probably might take it just because they don't have as much inherent tankiness versus towers. But I think jungle and top, I think this is actually
A
quite a good
great
item
item on.
because you could top laner could build this straight up. You could go, say you're going, I don't know, you could go, but maybe a Darius or somebody who wants to get in there, Renekton, maybe
We'll
even.
say something stupid like
um,
top lane Jarvan. You can pop that shit, go in, ult somebody, and they're not smacking you.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
it's got no wasted stats for anybody on top
Right.
lane. Like, I mean, because it's got no mana regen on it. Because usually that's sometimes with those items they'll have like some sort of mana component. Well, this is just straight up health regen and armor and damage and health. So it's like, what's
Yes,
not to
everyone
like
can
about
use.
it for top lane?
I think
Yeah.
honestly, I think that this is a good. I think it's a good item in general. I think it's gonna have a place, and I do think that even on like bot lane, I know everyone's like really hung up on the gold and support, but I play support every day, and you get a lot of gold down there that you don't really think you do. And more importantly than that is what it builds out of. And when you're building this raptor cloak and it's giving you 100% base regen, and you build you build the raptor cloak out of a cloth armor, a rejuve bead, and 520 gold, which means you can
So
get
good.
that item early in lane. That eliminates a lot of the weakness you have as a Leona or as a Braum or any of those
Oh yeah.
champions that get just
your
destroyed
armor.
by poke lanes. If you can regen everything they're poking at you, it's really strong.
And
So
soak it with
I do
armor,
think
and then
it should be considered in that type of role too.
yeah, I was looking at I like what you're saying about the Raptors cloak as support because I play tanky supports all the time, and I like to bully the lane and try to nitpick them at the turret. Braum, throw my little,
Right, and it's
blast.
hard when you're getting smacked in the face
Yeah.
by Sona
Now-
Qs or Zyra plants or
Right.
something like that.
Now, if you can move faster near the turrets, you can go in, poke, get out,
Mm.
soak up some ADC damage, and regen it right back. So
Yeah,
That's kinda
we
cool.
point out that the movement speed also applies to your turrets too. So if you're stuck
Mm-hmm.
getting poked under your tower and you're a tanky support, you can just run right at them and be like, all right, we're fighting. Have fun.
Also
right,
allows you
right,
to
right.
dodge
That's a
poke
good-
a lot more easily. So if they're throwing
wanna see how
skill
it
shots
works.
at you, the extra movement speed is going to make it a lot easier to dodge them.
Me too.
But I think for me, I just realized the Raptor Cloak. Like, I'm somebody who I like diving. I play really aggressive supports. So I'm always kind of on the fringe of turrets, like always dodge, like wondering if I can get in, get a stun
Yeah.
down, and then get out. And this is going to be really helpful. It depends what sort of range like it means to be near turrets. Like if we're talking like sort of maybe as far as the edge of the river, like that'd be great because then you can build up that move
Right.
speed, go in
probably
there,
kinda close,
it's the difference between taking one tower shot and two. Like you go in there,
Right.
you lay down your CC, you take one tower shot and then you're out, as
Well-
opposed to taking two, maybe three.
If you buy it and you are like say it gives the boost from like a ranged champion's auto attack range. Let's just go with like the regular AD carry auto attack range. That's still pretty far for such a large speed boost.
And I mean, if you think about it, bot lane, and this isn't it's still seen in other lanes, but people forget about it. But if you look at bot lane, there are three main types of bot lane. There's sustain, there's poke, and there's burst. Okay, and burst beats poke poke beats your burst. Your burst beats your sustain, and your sustain beats poke. But if you're negating all of that downfall of being a bursty support, which is your hard tanky CCs, and you're eliminating that poke's effect on you, that eliminates so much of your laning problem, because the biggest problem that you ever have in lane is just being poked down before you can get in range. Now you can take a few hits to the face, back out. It's not a big deal. Before, you had to play so safe until you could burst someone down. I really think that this just eliminates a lot of those problems in lane when you start seeing like the Zyras and things like that. That's my opinion on it. I think it's going to be a great support item if you can, especially if you get the Raptor Cloak early.
Can't wait to see it.
It's just worth buying. Full
Right.
stop. Roamwrecker before was like, I don't think I ever saw it in. It's been around for 2 years, and I don't think I saw
have
it
just-
once.
Rare,
I don't even
yeah.
think I even bought it just for funsies. Like I just never seen
Now
it.
you can
So
use it
I think we'll
defensively,
actually
which
see
is
it
nice.
probably quite a bit. I actually reckon you might even see it competitively. I think it's probably Raptor Cloak is really good, like insanely good. So anyway, we are really over time.
Hey,
while the cat's
whatever.
away, the
They
mice
get an
will
extra long
run over time.
episode this week. That's great.
That's it. So, thanks for joining the I was going to say the Oslo podcast, Trinity Force podcast, episode 213. Don't forget Battle Arenas on. There is the MVP prize has been given, so make sure you join in T-Force chat in NAE West or Oslo in Oceanic. I don't think there's anything else we need to say.
Well,
We'll be back
also-
again next week.
Also, we're only doing one podcast next week. Just a reminder, one
But
podcast.
it's going to be a
But it's
doozy.
the big
But
Oh yes,
Big
of
one.
course.
the
yeah,
Ghostcrawler podcast.
Be there Monday.
Ghostcrawler and his
And two
dev
devs.
friends.
His posse.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Bring your questions to reddit.com/r/Tforce Network. And hopefully your question will show up on the show and we can ask him stuff that you're really interested in or want to ask somebody who has way more knowledge about the actual direction of
Everything.
the game than we do. So
Yeah,
All right, guys.
absolutely.
have a great night.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Peace.
See you guys later.